Welcome to another one of my videos. Today I will be talking about the top 10 most common mistakes every C++ beginner makes. Let's start with number 1, initializing variables. Have you ever tried just creating a variable like you normally would, but then get an error about not initialized? Well, trust me, it has probably happened to a lot of people. It happens when you forget, or maybe just didn't know, that you to assign the variable something and not just leave it blank, since that gives you the error. It is also okay to think that it just automatically assigns to 0, but it doesn't. Number 2, using wrong equal signs. Make sure that when you're making an if statement, or basically everything that requires a condition and you want to compare two values, that you aren't using only one equal sign to check if they're both equal. Like this. Since you have to put two equal signs. So, it's right here. Number 3, using namespace library. I know that in my previous C++ video, I used this line of code, but I still want to advise you, don't use it. This is okay for beginners and small projects that only require use of the C++ standard library. But when you move on and use new external libraries, that can get bad. Let's say you have two libraries, green and blue. I don't have them right now. But so you type using namespace green and using namespace blue. And you call functions door, parentheses, from green and function TV from blue. Now, let's say green gets a new update with the TV function added. Since you have both using namespace, it is just going to not work. I don't have any external libraries to show you this, so let's move on. Number 4, forgetting semicolons. One of the most simple ones, yet common, is to forget semicolons at the end of the line. It is easily noticeable since your compiler will happily point that out for you. Number 5, missing break and switch statements. Sometimes you can forget to add breaks in the switch statements like this, but it's only one line, just a break. So don't forget to add those breaks. Number 6, misplaced semicolons. Maybe you were writing code one day and remember how you need semicolons to end lines of code. That is true, but they don't go in every single line, like if statements, loops, or function definitions. Your precious little program will just refuse to run. Number 7, forgetting array boundaries. Remember, arrays begin indexing at 0. If you have an array with 7 values, for example, the first value will be index 0 and the last one will be 6. That was a quick one, so I didn't just type anything. Number 8, misplacing functions. Functions always have to be before whatever other block of code or function you're on them in. Since all code runs from top to bottom, left to right, and it can't just magically know where your function is. So for example, if you try to run this, it works. But if you move it here, it will not. Number 9, putting consecutive comparison operators. Let's look at this code. Nothing really wrong with it, right? It will compile, but is the result going to be mathematically correct at first sight? Let's try it. As you may already know, this should be false, but it returns true. Why is that? As I already said, C++ runs from left to right, and computers rely on ones and zeros. 1 means true, 0 means false. It first checks 2, right here, 2 is less than var, or 2 is less than 20. So we get true because 2 is less than 20. True means 1. Now for the next comparison, we got true or 1. And 1 is definitely less than 10, so it should be true. That is what C++ thinks, even though it is false. This is the way to fix it. Easy. Number 10, readability. Sure, you can always read whatever alien unknown name you give to your variables, like 1, 2. So, like that. But you also have to make it readable to other programmers, or even make it so that non-programmers can understand. What if you come back to a 10-year-old script you made and you forgot what your variables meant? Like, who's gonna know what this means? That would certainly be bad, so you have to practice naming things in a readable way. Also, don't make your code too messy either. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.